And we're joined now in the media center by our third place finisher, and that's Kurt Busch. He drives the number 41 Haas Automation Chevrolet for Stewart Haas Racing. And our fourth place finisher and our top Sunoco Rookie of the Year candidate is Kyle Larson, and he drives the number 42 Target Chevrolet. Gentlemen, what an outstanding show you put on for us today. Wasn't easy out there, but Kurt, talk about your bid to win here today. I know you gave it all you could. Just talk about the race out there here this afternoon.
Yeah, it was a heck of a race for us on the 41 Haas Automation Chevy. We were in position all day. We ran top five and, executed well in the pits. I thought our strategy played out well, and the final pit stop was flawless, and that put us in position to race with Ambrose. And earlier in the day, I was able to distance myself from the 47 car, and then I realized, he was on a different tire sequence, and so he was going to be a force to be reckoned with at the end. And he held his serve. Allmendinger deserves this win. He did a tremendous job to race Ambrose, one of the best guys in the world at driving one of these stock cars. Those two put on a good show. I thought I was sitting in a good spot running third, hoping that the two would wipe each other out just enough that we would drive our Chevy into victory lane. But our team, executed a nice weekend. In the wake of everything that happened, it was hard to stay focused. The red flag today was an extremely long red flag, even the one at the end. A lot of things to overcome today, and I just tried to put the blinders on, stay focused, and deliver for my team.
Thank you, Kurt. And Kyle, another solid finish for you here today as you continue to post these top 10, top 5 finishes in your bid to get into that chase. Just talk about your run out here today at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, I'm super proud of my team and myself. I was extremely down on myself after practice. I was terrible. I was at best maybe a top 30 car, and you're just mad at myself, but knew I was going to have lots of opportunity to learn in the nationwide race and then throughout the Cup race too. So just worked really hard all day long. Kind of just tried to stay out of trouble in the beginning. Anytime somebody would outbrake me, I just let them go. And then we had that long red, and I told myself I need to be more aggressive on restarts. I knew we had a pretty good car because I'd get clear track, and then I could catch the guy in front of me. And from then I just had to get better at outbraking people, hit my marks consistently, and did a good job of that, and was able to get a top 5, which is unbelievable because I really thought we'd be lucky to get a top 20 today. So super proud of my Target team. I had a blast today, and happy for AJ, but in a way it kind of makes it tougher for us to even make the chase again. So just got to keep having top 5 runs, top 10 runs, and hope we can maybe squeak out a win soon, but if not, we got to be consistent.
Thank you, Kyle. Questions for Kurt or Kyle? We'll start here with Reed, and then we'll go to Stan, Reed, then Stan. Please state your name and your affiliation, please.
Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wire Service. Kurt, as hard as those two guys were racing and leaning on each other those last 2 laps, were you surprised that they both made it back to the finish line?
Yeah, very surprised. If you have a spot like that on the line to make the chase, and you're two guys that have never been in it before, racing at a road course where they have not the upper hand, but they have a lot more confidence than they would on an oval. I just watched it all day long. I was like, hey, if I run third, that's almost as good as being able to win this thing, because those two are going to bring back just the steering wheel only. I mean, I really thought that they did a phenomenal job to beat the heck out of each other, maintain a pace that didn't allow me to get close enough. There was just one moment I had. I wanted to go low on the back straightaway. It would have been 3 wide, and my right sides would have been in the grass. And I couldn't quite make it getting into the bus stop to clear those two. And, it was just a phenomenal show. Those two deserve a lot of credit. Allmendinger brought home the trophy, and he deserves it. Ambrose gave everything he could. I was just hoping that, yes, those two would get a bit overzealous, and I'd be able to scoot by him and pick up the win for our team.
It wasn't for lack of effort.
And our race runner-up has joined us now, and that's Marcos Ambrose. He drove the number 9 Stanley Ford, and Marcos certainly, we've talked to you several times here this weekend. You were a race winner here yesterday. You gave it your all here today, and if I'm not mistaken, you said on Friday, you know, you come out of here Sunday and you know that you've given it your all, you're going to keep your head held high, and that's what I sense from you right now.
Yeah, you know, first of all, congratulations to AJ and the 47 team. They're good friends of mine over there. I drove for Tad and Jody Schechter and Brad Doherty for a long time, and I wasn't quite able to seal the deal for a race win for them. I'm really pleased that they've got their race win like that. Thrilled for AJ too, his first big win, and you know, disappointed for me though. I got to tell you, it's you know, we threw everything we could at it. We knew what's at stake, and we had a great race car, led a lot of laps, just come up a little bit short.
Questions now for these three competitors. We'll open it back up. Stan.
Stan Creekmore with RPMTonight.com, and it's actually for all three of you. How do you get yourself back in focus after like an hour and 20-minute red flag so that when you go back to racing, it's just like you never stopped? How'd you get back in focus?
I just always go through a checklist like it's the start of the race, and then your mindset transfers into what's still left to do. And so it's just you try to paint an image in your mind of a checklist, and you just go through those numbers, and then once they drop the green flag, you're back in race routine. That's what I do.
I think about fishing. No, Kurt's right. You just when you jump in a car, whether it's practice or a race or after a red flag, you just go through, you know, your own routine. Okay, what are you after? What do you got to do? You know, you just sort of cycle through how you got to where you're at and what you got to do, you know, to the run home. And we're all paid. You know, we're professionals out there. We should be able to turn it on and off like a light switch.
Other questions? Excuse me. Lee has one. Excuse me.
Lee Spencer, Motorsport.com. Kurt, can you just talk about comebacks? You know about making a valiant comeback. What AJ's been able to do, whether, you know, getting the ride at Penske, then coming back, fighting back, you know about stuff like that. For him to do what he did and then win, I mean, can you talk about how gratifying that must be to the kid?
Yeah, I think to answer your question, I'll start in reverse. And he won the race today in a fashion that everyone is proud of him for doing. To beat one of the best in the world at driving these stock cars, he deserves the trophy, and he had to pull from within. He had to dig in deep, and he had to believe in himself all the way through this. When you're out there racing and you're in the groove and you're doing your thing, you know, it can go week after week where you don't have opportunities to win. And he was rebuilding, getting himself in position with that team, and the team continued to gain strength, and they believed in him. I mean, I think they were in here on Friday announcing a sponsor agreement, and they're moving forward with a long-term contract. That was the first step in helping him understand where his future was going to be. And then for him to deliver today, it's that confidence that grows when you're spreading around when you're spreading around all that, I guess, fertilizer, when you're cultivating that hard work, and now it's starting to turn around for you, he deserves it. He's put himself through all those mental challenges, and today he persevered. He didn't break down, and he brought home a victory, so we're all very proud of him.
Let's go to this gentleman right here in the black polo. If we could get him a microphone, please.
Hi, Ron Flatter with RSN Radio in Melbourne. Marcos, could you take us through the exchange of leads on the second-to-last lap and how AJ was able to expand his lead?
I can't remember much of it, but I know there was a lot of door banging going on, a lot of corners that we went round side by side, and you know, I got my tyres really hot doing that, and you know, I slid coming off turn 11 after I got the lead, and you know, he was able to get it back before the caution dropped, and that was probably the difference between, you know, winning and losing the race right there. If I could have held the lead when the caution came out, I would have probably had the advantage on the restart and probably been able to fend him off. But you know, it's just racing. It's what it is. It's what it's all about. You know, you lean on him on a restart. You try to take a couple of chances, and you know, I'm just pleased we got up through the S's side by side without wrecking the whole field, because it could have easily happened out there.
Other questions? Let's go to this young man right here.
Bond from WHEC in Rochester. We had a tragic event not too far from here last night involving Tony Stewart. I don't know how aware you are of it, but 20-year-old racer died last night. Just wanted to get your thoughts on that event.
You know, our thoughts and prayers are with the Ward family. You know, it was a tragedy, and our thoughts and prayers are with everybody involved. It's a tough situation for the motorsports world. And, you know, I'm not at liberty really to speak any more of it.
Any additional questions for these three competitors?
All set.
Stu, right here, please.
Stu Hodem, NASCAR.com for Marcos and Kyle. Kyle, you expressed really well that it's coming down to the wire here. You got 4 races to go: Michigan, Bristol, Atlanta, Richmond. So if each of you could maybe talk about where you think your best shot is to get that, and are you gearing up for one more than the other?
Man, I just finished the closest race of my life, so I haven't thought about points. I'll have a look at that on Monday. But you know, we're decent in the championship position. I think we're 16th or something. So I'll have a look at it overnight, and we've got to obviously score points, but we really need to focus on winning.
Yeah, and you know, I think Michigan's a good track for me, as well as Bristol and Atlanta. So I have three tracks I'm really confident at. So just go to each track with the same game plan as to you know, shoot for a win, but if not, try and be as far forward as you can. So it's crazy to think that, you know, with a 16-car chase, it'd be harder to make it than it was previously. You know, where I'm in the top 12 right now, and I'm sweating, trying to get locked in the chase. So, but it's exciting. It's exciting for all the race teams that got to step up, and for the fans to pay attention to it. So, I think NASCAR did a good job with the change. It's made everybody step up even more.
Let's go over here to the right, Ron.
This is for Marcos, and maybe just a comment also from Kurt. Marcos, you were involved in a tremendous scrap with Brad here a couple of years ago, and just viewing that last lap, it looked equally as exciting. And so I want you to at least maybe talk a little bit more about that last lap, and maybe you pressuring coming out of the inner loop and getting by AJ, and then AJ making a equally good move going into turn 10. Just talk a little bit about that. And maybe Kurt, you can you saw that going on. Give me your reaction to that, because it was some pretty good racing.
Yeah, look, I ran him really hard up through the off turn 1. I was on the outside of him and tried to run side by side with him through 2. Had to pull back in line, and you know, I knew that you know, I didn't have long to try to get the lead back, and he had a really bad run through the bus stop, got himself loose and out of shape, and I had a bit of a dive up the inside, thinking he was going to slide up the hill. He tried to check it. We got into each other, and you know, I was able to slide underneath him and take the lead. But I gave him, you know, I had to give him some room on the outside too, because I knew he was going to come back on the track there, and you know, he leaned on me getting into turn 10 or 6, whatever you want to call it there, and you know, pushed me wide. I shook the front tyres and ran wide. That was my bad, and yeah, it's just tight racing. You know, we're running on worn-out tyres. You know, we're racing for a lot, and you just do whatever you can to try to get the lead and rattle the guy's cage. Not for me personally.
Well, it's what we come to the track for, is to put on a good show. I love when it's when you've positioned yourself to out-duel somebody at the end of a race, whether it's a short track, a road course, you know, an intermediate track. You have those moments, but they're not as great. But super speedways, you know, it's always a battle when there's green, white checkers, and it's what gets the juices flowing. It's what needs to be documented about the great show that was put on today. It's why I think we're near to a sellout crowd the last 3 years here at Watkins Glen. It puts on a tremendous show. That's what NASCAR is all about.
Any additional, excuse me, any additional questions? You have another one, Ron?
One last thing for Kurt. Any thoughts on getting back in the Indy 500 next year, or is this way too premature or whatever?
Yeah, it's a bit too early. Right now our focus is the chase and trying to keep others from punching their ticket to get in. And today Allmendinger got in. But, you know, no, we won't know much news. You know, let's see how their season ends, how our season goes. Right now I'm focused on this 41 car to run for the championship.
Would you like to do it, though? Or?
Yeah, I'd like to do it. We'll see how it pans out.
Okay, thanks.
Final question. Stan, right there in the middle. Can we get him a mic, please?
Stan Creekmore again with RPMtonight.com. And Kurt, I want to advance you. Instead of being a driver, I want you to be a teacher right now. What would you tell Marcos Ambrose he needs to do to get that win to definitely be in the chase?
Change the name. Yeah, he should have wrecked Allmendinger. I mean,
I was hoping they'd both wreck each other.
it's putting yourself in position, and they did that today. And it's what he has to do again at Michigan and Bristol, Atlanta, Richmond. You know, whether it's done with pitch strategy, whether it's done with good race cars. I haven't looked at his point situation to know. I know Larson's on that bubble of guys making it in on points. It's you can't start stretching yourself too thin though here at this time of the year. You just keep plugging away, and you wish you were in a better position. I mean, I know Larson's over there biting his fingernails, but he's in position where Ambrose wants to attack and jump on those guys. That's what the chase is all about. It's win and you're in. And I'm sure we're going to see, as the races get closer here, people doing more dramatic things to try to take a chance to have a run at the championship.
I believe we have one more question at the final, all the way to the back. Go ahead.
My name's Ted Gold, Warner Cable News. This is for Kurt and Marcos. Obviously, a lot of turns here and a lot of unpredictable stuff happens. You know, a couple caution flags this year, I guess. What changes to your strategy do you make when you're on a road track versus an oval course?
A road course, like ovals, has its certain points in the race where the first set of tires you run a certain way, the second set of tires, and then at the end you know that it's your last set of tires and it's all about track position. And it's a defensive mode, but if you have the offense, use it. Road courses, it's more of a routine. It's a checklist type feel where you're looking for your braking marker, you're hitting your shift points, and you do it lap after lap. It's just repetition. Oval tracks, you kind of go off the feel of how your car's feeling, and you dive down into the corner, and you pick up the gas in certain spots. It's not the same every lap. Road courses is a lot of mental checklists.